we all know some people that just can't seem to walk a straight line even when they're straight. And so then the question is, while you can give somebody a breathalyzer test, what kind of test are you going to give them for marijuana intoxication?
So we have already been doing that for years. I mean, that's nothing new. Impairment is impairment, even when you're talking about different substances on board.
So you're talking the roadside test.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying about the roadside test. Some people can't pass that when they haven't been taking anything.
So the roadside test is not the only determinant as far as somebody being impaired. It's the discussion, it's the questions that we ask, it's the orientation or disorientation, it's the vehicle in motion leading up to, why we stopped here, what's going on. All of those factors contribute to making a determination of whether you're impaired to the level that's noticeable or perceptible that constitutes a violation.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Dale, but I'm assuming that what you're getting at is we have a breath and a blood test for alcohol. What do you got for marijuana?
So we do offer a urinalysis. And so they do screen urinalysis and stuff and look at basically a concentration that would equate to whether the person is impaired. And under implied consent, a person has the right to refuse that. And under implied consent, that can be used against you in a court of law as a consideration, and also means that under Oregon, where they gave you your driver's license, you can be suspended for that, just like refusing a breath test.
Well, there are certainly cases where the police will take someone to a hospital and forcibly draw their blood to test it for what circumstances have to occur in order for that to take place.
So basically, you're incapacitated to basically go to the jail and take the breath test. So usually where we see things like that are in crashes. Someone is injured, taken to the hospital. You're certainly not going to get them down to the jail for a breath test and stuff. So what we do is we use that for the blood draw.
So there's no danger of running up against the Fifth Amendment?
Well, it's been tested, and I will tell you this: as far as criminal law goes, probably DUIs are probably one of the most constitutionally challenged things because it knows no specific demographic and it reaches all levels, and people who have money that can afford attorneys to fight certainly do. And so, in my 25 years, I've watched challenges to field sobriety testing and different things go through and it get refined, but there isn't something constitutionally when the same standard would apply where I say I believe I have probable cause based on a gamut of circumstances to believe that the person to be impaired, and so for that, then that allows me under exigent circumstances to draw the blood. If I was to go get a warrant, time being something, alcohol starts to dissipate and stuff, and so my evidence is actually leaving the body, and I have to be able to make that determination.
But if they're really hammered or something, you probably have time to get a warrant and
depending on what day of the week and time it is?
No. So,
wouldn't it be harder if it was midnight on a Friday night and you're facing a weekend? That's what I meant about day of.
Well, you're still drafting the warrant, which takes time, and you're still getting a DA to give the blessing, and then basically to get a judge to get it signed. And if the judge is...
Hey, what about separation of church and state?
Yeah, he just did it. We saw the DA doing some Catholic thing here.
And if the judge is basically in court or in trial or who knows and stuff. So there is a time, and in some ways, world according to me, but you're also protecting that person's rights, because if there's any dispute about what it was or what they had on board about that time, time is an argument. And so we want to make sure that the observations and the relative time to where the crash occurred has some accurate delineation of what they have going on at the time of that crash. And if I was to get a warrant, let's say 2 hours wasn't that unreasonable, alcohol dissipates at a 0.015%, I think, per hour. So the problem is you're not being accurate as to what truly was going on at that time. And I think that's why the courts have upheld the exception rule based on the crash circumstances of the injured person at the hospital. There was a time where there was a blood draw at the hospital like anybody who basically comes in injured and a blood is drawn like they would check for medical and whatever, and officers weren't entitled to know, what the ETOH is or the alcohol content of that, and that's changed where that can be shared with the officer and stuff. So again, probably the most legally challenged crime that I can think of. Search and seizure is a constitutional challenge that we have a lot of, but I'm just saying as far as a crime per se by itself, it's probably one of the most legally challenged issues as far as process and tests and circumstances that led up to the determination.